You're kidding. Just one shot?
They're not all zombies, Doug. How do you fight this thing?
Maybe we could drown it in A1 sauce.
Well, sometimes that is better. The person you put up there ain't the person that comes back.
It's a dance song to get down with. About 6 feet under. Get down.
Ooh, I love this song. I'm hung up in a grave situation.
And now we come to the thrilling final episode of our radio drama.
Hello and welcome to episode 201 of the Rotten Views podcast. I gotta say, it's a little later at night right now recording this one. It's so goddamn hot and humid right now in Canada. It's a great time, you know. 1 minute's cool, next minute's, you know, you're sweating to death. You know, it's a fun place. I'm sure other places around the world are the same. But recording my podcast without the fan or AC on, it's a little bit of a task, but we got another fun episode for you guys. At least I might be a little bit biased, but I think it's gonna be a fun one because I actually enjoyed this movie a lot. For those of you that know me well enough, you know that I love movies about vehicles coming alive and wreaking havoc on the world and whatnot. It's up there with my zombie genre. Like, zombie movies are a lot of fun. I don't care what anyone says. I personally love them. I grew up watching Night of the Living Dead, and I also grew up watching Maximum Overdrive and Trucks. It's also the spin-off of Maximum Overdrive. Pretty much the same movie, same concept and whatnot, but I love when vehicles come alive and start wreaking havoc, and I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I personally have a lot of enjoyment watching this movie, so hopefully you guys will too. But before we get into that, let's do a little bit of housekeeping.
Housekeeping?
I think you're sleeping.
Housekeeping?
Could you come back in an hour?
Housekeeping, you want towel?
More towels. Need sleepy.
Housekeeping, you want mint for pillow?
Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God.
I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been checking out the podcast, you know, leaving reviews, hitting the subscribe button, sharing the podcast. It means a lot. I've seen the views going up each and every single week, and it's just an awesome feeling, and I just want to say thank you. I say thank you every week, but I appreciate it. And if you guys want it, just, you know, keep on sharing it. If you're on Spotify, leave a star review. If you're on Apple, leave a review. If not, just, you know, hit that share button. That share button actually does help out a lot, and I appreciate it. We've been doing a lot of artwork lately. I have a couple shorts out of some South Park drawings I've did. I was testing out my talents at drawing South Park characters. I'm going to be doing some more of them. Probably do a couple on live stream as well, because you guys really enjoy the art live streams. I appreciate that. The average viewer count is like 200 viewers for the art streams, which I think is crazy. I appreciate that a lot. The video game streams, you guys could check out the video game streams a little bit. Just saying, just throwing that out there. They're a little bit mature rating because of, you know, who I play with, but that's besides the point. Just let you know though. But no, you check out whatever streams you want. I'm gonna try and do more streams a week, but we'll just have to, you know, play it by ear and see how I feel and see how tired I am and how much energy I want to put into things. But yeah, I'm going to be pumping out a lot more short videos. So we got the weekly game video that drops every single Wednesday. Going to be switching that up a little bit, like I say every week. I just want to be like a variety streamer. There's so many games I want to play. I will do complete Let's Plays, like start to finish. There's just so many games I want to play all at once. It's a horrible feeling. You know, it's like being a kid, but being stuck as an adult, not having the time to do half the things you want to do. Which, you know, when you're a kid, you're going to be like, I'm going to be an adult. I'm going to be able to do whatever I want. Psych, it's wrong. No. You won't be able to. But besides that, you know, we have old episodes of the podcast going up as well. I want to do a live podcast stream, or maybe like a video concept of some sort at some point in time. We also have the, you know, some other finished pieces coming up for sale. One of the pieces that did really well for me on the shorts tab was the latest Five Nights at Freddy piece I did, the Nightmare piece. If you guys haven't checked that out, go check that out. It's fully colored too with markers. I don't do a lot of fully colored pieces that detailed, so I think it captured like 6,000 views in like 48 hours. So that's pretty cool. I appreciate all that. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. Also, with it being hot and everyone being sweaty and tired and needing a little bit of energy, make sure to go over to w.gg. Go, buy some W products, maybe a shaker cup, maybe some flavors that you enjoy. And, when you're getting ready to do that cash out thing, the checkout, make sure you use the promo code Rotten Reviews to save yourself 10%. Saves you a little bit, gives me a little bit, and I appreciate it. So definitely go check them out. We got some cool flavors. We got some new stuff coming in soon as well, so make sure to check it out. Links are down in the description below, of course. And if you guys want to follow me on any social medias accounts, down below at Typhonstein. I might start a Rotten Reviews Instagram page or Twitter page, one of the two, or maybe both. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if there's a purpose. Like, what my plan is, if I do that, I'm going to pop out more short contents, like some more reels, where I'm taking clips from the episodes, and hopefully that will, expand my horizon for more listeners. At least that's the game plan, because I don't want to be putting them on my art Instagram page, because then the content is all just scattered all over the place. The YouTube channel alone is scattered all over the place, as it is. So I don't want to do that with my personal Instagram page. So we might have a Rotten Views Instagram page coming up soon. If I do, I'll drop the links down below. I kind of had one started at one point in time, but I think I only did like 2 or 3 posts on it, and then I completely forgot about it. And it was like a couple years ago, so we're not going to discuss that one. But yeah, enough of all that tangent. You're here to listen to me discuss a movie from 1974 called Killdozer, which you can watch for free on Plex, or you can be like I am and watch it for free on YouTube, because there's a really good copy of it on YouTube. It's like I said, from 1974. It's a sci-fi horror movie for an hour and 14 minutes. This movie has a 5 out of 10 on IMDb, 32% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 2.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd. Apparently 83% of Google users have liked this film. Initial release date was February 2nd, 1974. I don't see anything about the budget or how much it made on this website, so sorry about that. It was actually a made-for-TV movie, and the description as read on IMDb: a small construction crew on an island is terrorized when a spirit-like being takes over a large bulldozer and goes on a killing rampage. This movie is directed by Jerry London. Finally, a name I'm not going to butcher. Jerry's done a lot of TV work. He was the director for 3 episodes of Once Upon a Murder from 1983, which I never heard of. But he's also the director for the TV movie from 1980, Shogun. And there's also a Shogun TV show, which he did 5 episodes for as well, also in 1980. He was also the director for 21 episodes from 1993 to 1998 of Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman. I personally have never watched that show at all, because it's not something I ever cared to watch, but I know my parents watched it, so I at least know the name and the premise at least a little bit. This movie also has credited 3 writers. We have Theodore Sturgeon, Ed McKillop, and Herbert F. Solow. The first one we're going to be talking about is Theodore Sturgeon. He's did the writing for 2 episodes of Star Trek from 1966 to 1967. He also was the writer for 2 episodes of Twilight Zone in 1986. He also did a couple episodes of Tales of Tomorrow. I've never heard of that TV show, but that's from 1951 to 1952. Apparently, he did a lot of TV writing credits, which makes sense because this is a made-for-TV movie. The next writer we're going to talk about is Ed McKillop. I probably butchered that name, most likely. His only writing credit is actually Killdozer. I'm wondering if this was one of those cases like where they bring in a bunch of writers together just to kind of cut on the cost. I heard that's a thing that they would usually do. They would bring in 2 writers, but there would only be one salary that they would have to split between each other. So maybe that's the case in this. I don't really know. Then the last writer is Herbert F. Solow, who did 17 episodes from 1977 to 1978 of a TV show called Man from Atlantis. I've heard of that, but I've never actually seen any of that. He was a producer for that. He was also the production manager for Mission Impossible, the TV series from 1966 to 1968, where he did 53 episodes. And he was also the production manager for a TV series called Star Trek, where he worked on 54 episodes from 1966 to 1968 as well. So we had the 2 writers being Star Trek co-writers, I guess, or at least people on the crew, at least, not necessarily co-writers and whatnot. Not gonna lie though, with any of you guys, I've never really watched Star Trek. I've seen clips here and there. Might have sat down and watched like an episode or 2 on Space back when I was a kid because nothing else was on TV. But to actually sit down and say I know a lot about Star Trek, no, I don't at all. So if you want to see me talk about anything Star Trek, let me know down in the comments below. I'll consider it at least a little bit, maybe. Maybe make it like a Patreon bonus where we break down the episodes of the TV show. One of the TV shows. I know there's a bunch of them, so. Then we're coming to the part where we're going to talk about a couple of the cast members in this movie. The first one we're going to talk about is Clint Walker, who's playing Lloyd Kelly. He's best known for being Samson Posey in 1967's The Dirty Dozen. He was also Nick Nitro, the voice actor at least for that. In 1998's Small Soldiers. I don't remember which one was Nick Nitro. I'm going to have to look that back up. He was also Bert in 1964's Send Me No Flowers, and he was Jim Cole in 1966, Night of the Grizzly. I've seen that movie. I'm pretty sure I've seen that movie. The name has just sparked some memories in my brain that I'm now going to have to revisit that. So that one's definitely getting added to the podcast as well. And sadly, Small Soldiers was his final acting role, voice acting role I should say, before his passing. The next actor on the list that we're going to talk about who's playing McCarthy is Robert Urich, best known for being in 4 episodes from 1989 of Lonesome Dove. He was Officer Grimes in 1973's Magnum Force. He was Jason in 1984, The Ice Pirates, and he was in 69 episodes from 1978 to 1981. Vegas, playing Dan Tananen. I don't think I've ever heard that. It sounds like a cop show. Most likely it's probably a cop show or a gambling show. It's Vegas, so. And not that it matters, but he was also in 25 episodes from 1998 to 1999 of Love Boat, The Next Wave. The tagline for this movie is, everyone knows a machine cannot kill, except the machine. Fun little trivia, I guess, did you know segment from IMDb. This film later gained renewed interest and ultimately cult status when it was the subject of jokes on both Beavis and Butthead from 1993 and The Tonight Show with Conan O'Brien in 2009. I'm not sure why they were talking about it in 2009. Is that around the same time with Tread, when the mechanic did that bulldozer? If you guys haven't checked out Tread, I think it's Tread. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's called Tread. It's a documentary on Netflix. Definitely go check it out. Really good. It should still be on there. I don't know. I haven't watched Netflix in months, so I don't know what's on there anymore at all. So, but anyways, this is your first and only warning. I'm going to get ready to talk about this podcast. If this is your first time listening, what I do is I talk about the podcast from start to finish and hit all the points in between that interest me. So if you don't want to be spoiled on a movie that came out in 1974, feel free to pause it now. Go check it out on Plex or YouTube. I suggest YouTube. It's a lot quicker and easier. And then, come back and listen to me talk about the movie. Hopefully, you'll come back. But yeah, if not, just get comfy, sit down, have some snacks, Doritos, whatever it might be. If you're in the car, keep your eyes on the road. We don't need no accidents, please, and thank you. And if you're at work, hopefully this just helps you get through your day. And yeah, we're going to start talking about the movie right now.
Presents Saturday Night at the Movies, the television series which each week brings you the finest in recent motion pictures. Tonight,
we don't know anything for a fact.
Clint Walker. Except that bulldozer kills. Carl Betts. 2 men dead. The survivors watch an unmanned bulldozer continue its rampage. Killdozer.
Got the movie starting out with that classic and MCA company Universal image of the world just spinning, and then we see a bunch of stars in the sky as the sci-fi music starts to play, and then there's like that red ring that comes in the sky, and then we see some meteors and space rocks flying around. I wonder what was the concept, like why did people think meteors and space rocks would have this magical power to take over, machines and make them become killers, because this is essentially what happened in Maximum Overdrive with Halley's Comet, I believe it was called. Anyways, this rock lands on a little island where the construction crew is working for a reason, starts flashing bright blues, and then, the blue color starts to go away, and then it's just a little bit of a smoke, and then this, soothing music starts to play, nothing suspenseful, nothing too crazy, as we see the sunset coming up. Birds are flying across the ocean because, they're on a random island somewhere. And we see the construction crew working about. I don't know what they're really doing at all because there's nothing on the island at all. It's just a bunch of sand all over the place. And for the most part, it's pretty much leveled out. We see our lead come in. We see Lloyd driving his Jeep. He's like he's the big boss man for this construction crew. Then he stops over at Beltran. He's like, hey, what's the hold up? He's like, I don't know, man. The other vehicle's not here. I can't do nothing, man. I'm just waiting here for Mac to show up. So then they radio for Mac, but Mac's not answering his walkie-talkie. So then we see Mac and Dutch inside this old abandoned building, and apparently it was a refueling station back in World War II, and it's all kind of destroyed. And he's like, look, it's beautiful. It's a great palace here. We can do so much here. And because Lloyd can't get a hold of Mac at all, he's getting pissed off. So now he's driving his Jeep. He's like, I gotta go find Mac because he's holding up this whole construction crew because we can't make everything go forward without the other vehicle. And it takes no time for Kelly, or Lloyd Kelly, that's his name, to find the other guys because apparently there's nothing else on this goddamn line. He's like, so you guys are paid to work here. We only have 5 days left on the drilling crew. So let's go get the job done instead of exploring around abandoned buildings, please. We see them all getting back to work now, getting ready to run their bulldozers because there's more than one bulldozer. There's like a really big bulldozer that becomes a Killdozer. And there's this little small bulldozer, which I believe Dutch is running, which Dutch has to go up with Beltran to go work on the service road. So they have a road coming in, even though there's like nothing there. So I'm not fully sure why they need an access road because everything's flat from what I'm looking at or seeing. But then we see Mac and Killdozer, and he's like, all right, let's destroy. We see a shot of the blade of the bulldozer, and then Killdozer, the awesome font style, pops up, and then we just see him driving right through that old abandoned building that they're looking at. We got the intro credits all coming in as we just watched the bulldozer start, destroying everything, like that little building that was left there. And then it gets stuck somehow. And Mac gets out, he's looking at it, he's like, how am I stuck? What's really stopping it? And he's like, it's this friggin' rock here. It just won't move at all. It just won't come out. And of course, it's the space meter, of course. So then Lloyd comes over and looks at it, he's like, it's metallic. It's weird. It doesn't match the surroundings around us. So I don't understand why it's there. He's like, I'll show you how it's done though, kid. It's gotta come out. It's gotta come out no matter what. So, and then Lloyd gets ready to go into the bulldozer. And that's when then Mac hears some sensors or sounds or some humming coming from the rock. So then Lloyd, puts the bulldozer in reverse, and then he rams up against that mirror, and the whole thing just starts turning a giant bright blue that we saw earlier, and then that blue brightness goes into the bulldozer, and Lloyd can't control it because the shifter's going all weird, and then Mac just starts screaming and drops to the ground because the shine of the mirror or the radioactiveness of it. I'm not really too sure what, or maybe it's the high-pitched squealing that's going on in my ears right now as I'm listening to this movie with my headphones on. It's a lot louder than the rest of the movie, at least on the copy I'm watching. And then we see Mac, he's in bed and he's like moaning and groaning and he's in a lot of pain, and everyone's like, what's going on? I don't get what's happening to him. And Dutch is questioning, like, well, why was Kelly on the bulldozer? It's Mac's job. Like, he could have died. He's like, well, one of them might have died either way. So, and Dutch is like, listen to the guy. Mac's, dying over there. He's in pain. We gotta get him out of here. He needs a hospital. And I think it's Beltar. He's like, well, maybe we can make an airstrip and the crew can get a helicopter or something in here so we can get him to the hospital. Maybe, probably not though. And then we see Lloyd on the CB radio trying to call in for help, seeing if there's any ships or anything in there because, like I said, they're on an island. And he's like, I can't get any help at all. We might as well just be stuck on the moon at this rate. And Lloyd goes to check on Mac to see how he's doing. We see Mac laying on the bed on his back, and he's covered up in a blanket, and his face is all black. It looks like his eyes are burned out. He's like, I gotta talk. And Lloyd's like, there's plenty of time to talk later. Don't worry about Mac. You just need to get your rest. He's like, no, I need to talk alone. And then Dutch is like, what do you need to talk to him alone for? Well, he's the one who almost got you killed. He's like, nah, I just need to talk to him alone. And then Mac has this little phase where he's turning his face away from Dutch. He's like, no, I don't want you looking at me. Please leave the room while I talk to Lloyd one-on-one, please. So when everyone leaves the room, and now it's just Lloyd and Mac. And Mac's like, did you see it? And Lloyd's like, see what? He's like, when you hit the rock, it was all just blue. Everything was just blue, whatever it was. And Mac's going on about how weird the thing was, and I tried to kill him, and he's never seen anything like it before. And Lloyd didn't see it at all. He's like, yeah, sure, Kelly, sure, it's probably something. I don't know what happened there, Mac, but it'll be okay. Just, and then Mac cuts him off. He's like, I tried to warn you, Kelly. Blue light come from the rock, but you didn't hear me. I tried to warn you. And then Mac's telling Kelly that the blue light is in the blade, and then he starts choking, and then he just stops talking altogether. So we assume that he's probably dead now. And then Lloyd's coming out of the tent, and Dutch goes to talk to him. He's like, so what was so important? He's like, nothing. You need to go grab a tarp, though. We're gonna have to bury him for the time being because he's dead. And Lloyd, is walking away. It's nighttime. It's not super dark at this point in time, but it is nighttime, and he's walking over to the bulldozer. Pretty much looking over. We see a close up of the headlights of the bulldozer. And I thought they were going to come on originally at that point point in time, but then he hops up on it and he turns the bulldozer on, and then we see that same shot from the bulldozer from the front again, and the headlights are kind of like a reddish orange when they originally turn on, and then they start to get brighter, and he's playing around with the bulldozer just to see what's going on with it. I don't think he really thinks there's anything wrong with it, but he does know that it might have had something to do with Kelly dying. And then at one point in time, the bulldozer just starts going on its own. The levers and everything start going on its own, and he's trying to fight it, but he can't. So then he's able to grab some snips at some point in time, and he goes to cut one of the hydraulic lines for whatever reason, and then he hops off with the bulldozer, and now the bulldozer's coming directly towards him, and he's pretty much run away on all fours, just trying to not die. Or maybe he might have snipped a gas line because the bulldozer starts puttering, or I guess it'd be a diesel line. But then they just stops just before crushing Kelly up against a debris of another equipment of some sort. And then we see it's Dutch, Beltran, and Chubb. I think Chubb might be a mechanic that works there. I'm not really too sure. And they're just standing around Mac's grave. Dutch isn't really too happy about the whole situation because, of course, it's his best friend that's being buried, and he's kind of in a shallow grave, and there's no priest around to give a final send-off, so they kind of just do their own little final send-off and hope for the best. That's when we then hear some equipment running, and hits Lloyd with a big ass dump truck, and he's towing the bulldozer in, and then I think it's Chubb. He's like, is he working late or is he getting a head start on tomorrow? We see Lloyd parking the two vehicles, and he's going to unhook the chain, and we just see the actual size of this bulldozer. It looks a lot bigger than the average bulldozer. I personally don't think I've ever seen one that big, but it actually adds to the effect for the movie, of course. And we see Lloyd coming into the tent as everyone's sitting down having a drink to think of Mac, and Lloyd's like, where'd that come from? He's like, we're just having a social drink to pay respects to Mac. You want a drink? He's like, no, the bar is closed, and walks away with the alcohol. Like, all right, Lloyd, good talking to you, Lloyd. And then we find out, I believe it's Chubb, that he's the mechanic for the crew site, because then he's talking to Lloyd, and Lloyd's fixing up his arm because he's got a burn mark or something to it. He's like, where'd you get that? He's like, I got it from the D9 bulldozer. I want you to check it over in the morning. He's like, well, what's wrong with it? And he's like, I want you to find out, and you tell me what's wrong with it, because I'm not going to tell you what I just went through. Then we see, I believe it's Dennis out by the bulldozer, and the headlights start to flash a little bit, and then the levers start to move a little bit, and we see the bucket actually raise a little bit, but it doesn't do anything else. And then Dennis is like, I swore that bucket was in a different position 2 seconds ago. And then Chubbs calls Kelly over. He's like, hey, come on, let's talk about the D9 bulldozer here. He's like, I found the fuel line was cut, and there's a bunch of other pressure things and messed up with it, making it not go anywhere. He's like, yeah, I know, I did that. I didn't want it to go anywhere. He's like, well, actually, there was one other thing, Kelly. And that's when they put their head up against the blade of the bulldozer, and we hear that humming sound coming from it. He's like, you hear that? Because I've been looking around on this goddamn thing all morning, and I can't figure out where it's coming from. And that's when Lloyd's like, all right, I'm not giving anyone the green light right now to take out this machine, so everyone's going to have to use the other bulldozer that we have, and I don't want to see this bulldozer running at all. Understood? And then later on we find out that Dennis was actually listening in on the whole blue light conversation that Lloyd was having with McCarthy, and he's like, so about that blue light, how about we talk about this? And Lloyd's like, you tell that to anyone and I'm going to get your ass fired. He's like, Dennis is like, I could have swore last night that the D9 blade moved and the whole thing wasn't running at all, so I'm a little bit curious what's going on here right now, Lloyd. And then, of course, out of nowhere, Beltran gets on the D9 and starts running, and it starts going all crazy, and Chubb starts yelling at him. He's like, oh, you gotta turn left. And that's when the bulldozer accidentally runs over their only radio to radio out to anybody for help that it's fully destroyed now. So they're screwed on this island. And then we just see the D9 or whatever, the bulldozer, just taking off, going down the road or area, and Beltran is trying to control it, but it's just off on its own. That's when Lloyd jumps in the Jeep to try and chase after them. Then out of nowhere, Beltran jumps off with the bulldozer, and he falls to the ground because he's laying on his back looking at the bulldozer, and then the bulldozer turns right towards him and starts coming at him. He's like, oh crap, I better get moving. Lloyd finally catches up to them somehow. I'm not sure why it took him so long because he's in a Jeep and bulldozers aren't really that fast. But then for whatever reason, he's watching Beltran try to hide from the bulldozer, and for whatever reason, he hides in like a piping system that would go underneath like a driveway or in a ditch. And then the bulldozer just runs over the whole pipe system, and of course he's dead because he would be compacted inside of it. And then the bulldozer just drives off into the forest area a little bit. And we just see a close-up of Lloyd's face, and he's pretty much being like, how the hell am I going to explain this one to the guys? And then we see the guys burying Beltran, and it's like, well, at least you got him out of the pipe at least, so that's good. And then they start questioning Lloyd. He's like, so how did it happen? They're like, don't tell me that the D9er just destroyed it or killed him. He's like, I don't know how it happened, to be honest with you. He got off, the bulldozer was coming at him, and he hit in the pipe, and it ran him over. Like, what do you want me to tell you? I don't know what to tell you. And then Chubb's like, I don't know what to tell you, but I saw Beltran hop on there. The whole bulldozer went crazy, ran over the rail. So he probably hopped off at some point in time, and that's probably what got him killed. So let's just leave it at that, okay? At least Chubbs is on Lloyd's side. It's now nighttime again, and we just see the bulldozer out in the middle of the darkness with the headlights a little bit dim as it's racing its bucket up and down, revving up the engine a little bit, getting ready to pretty much murder them all, or at least attempt to. And then we see Dennis and Dutch in the same little tent together, and Dutch for some reason is going on about, like, you know what I really want to do that me and Mac used to do? We used to just go swimming at night, just acting like a bunch of crazy kids, just out there swimming fun. It's like, a little weird to be, two guys probably swimming nude in the quarry or something. Then we see Dennis outside of Lloyd's tent, and then Lloyd comes out and he's like, Beltran, what did you actually see? He's like, pink elephants. He's like, come on, let's be honest. He's like, Beltran got off of the D9er and then it came right at him and ran him over. I don't know what else to tell you. It just malfunctioned and it's got a mind of its own right now at the point in time. We see a bunch of the guys just sleeping in the tent together, but then we see Dennis out wandering in the woods, and then he comes up and he sees the D9er just driving on its own, and it kind of turns towards him and takes a pull, and then the headlights start beaming towards him, and it's bright orange. And he's like, alright, I better start taking off here now, because this thing's clearly got a mind of its own, and Lloyd's not joking around at all. And now it's the next morning, and we see Lloyd sitting down for some coffee, and Dennis comes in to talk to him. He's like, so I did see the D9er out there last night, and it's going a little bit crazy. I also found this rock, and it looks like nothing that's around here. You know that, and I know that. So there's probably something inside that dozer from the space, and we need to try and destroy it. Maybe some dynamite or something, blow it up. He's like, are you crazy? That D9er cost us a lot of goddamn money. He's like, we need to destroy it. We see Chubbs and Dutch, gassing up one of their vehicles, and Dutch is like, did you see Dennis in his bed leave early? I think him and Lloyd are in this together. We've already got 2 graves on the beach, and they're probably only thinking about number 1, 2, and there's more spaces for graves on the beach, so we gotta stick together so we don't die. And Chubbs like, I think you're being crazy, okay, Dutch? Then Lloyd and Dennis show up, and they call over Dutch and Chubbs. He's like, hey, come on, I want to talk to you. And then we hear some motorized sounds happening, and we hear some explosions happening, and it's the D9er driving through their camp. We see the guys running up the hill trying to get like a higher ground so they can look down and see what's happening, and we just see the D9er destroying the whole entire camp area, running over the diesel containers, running over pretty much anything and everything that can run over, which is pretty much everything, of course. And then we just see the D9er driving off into the forest area a little bit farther away, and then we see the guys all going back to the camp, looking around, being like, yeah, pretty much everything is destroyed here. And then they're flipping over to a Jeep, because there's a little red Jeep. He's like, alright, Chubbs, check out the vehicle, gas them all up so we can, try and stay alive on this stupid island, please. And Dennis is like, so we got a little bit of food, got a little bit of water. And Lloyd's like, alright, should hold us, over for a couple days, or like the day after tomorrow when the supply ship shows up, if we can survive that long at least. And then of course Dutch is sitting there with a radio that he did have playing, but Lloyd told him to turn it off because it's causing too much noise. He's like, hey, so I know there's got to be somebody else on this island, because this is the only logical answer. Somebody's got to be recording or controlling that bulldozer by remote control. So there's got to be somebody else on this island that's trying to mess with us. And then Lloyd's like, alright, we're going to go up on the high ground. And then Dan's like, so what, we're not going after the D9? He's like, no, you see, it ran over the dynamite and it didn't even phase the damn thing. So how are we going to go up against it if we have nothing to even phase it? And we see them getting in their respectable vehicles. You got Chubb driving the gas truck. You got Lloyd in his one Jeep. And then Dennis and Dutch get in a Jeep together. Originally, Dutch was going to get in the Jeep with Lloyd. And then he's like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to go ride with Dennis and tell him that I was in the football game. Got myself 2 touchdowns because I was a good football player. Anyways, as they're driving away, we then see the D9's been hiding in the bush beside them the whole goddamn time, and then it slowly starts to come out and, you know, following them, because God knows you can't hear a giant bulldozer coming towards you guys, but that's fine. And then as they're getting up the trail, it's a straight like shot up, and then Chubb starts honking at him. He's like, my truck ain't gonna make it up any farther on this hill. It's not powerful enough. And then as they all get out of their vehicles, then we see a shot of the Killdozer slowly making its way up the hill. And it's a cool camera shot because the camera's like on the ground as the bulldozer's driving over top of it. And apparently while Dennis and Dutch have been driving together, we find out that Dennis has been telling Dutch his thoughts on the story, and, you know, it's a meteor and whatnot and happening. And Lloyd's like, yeah, you know, we don't know what's happening at all right now, so let's not jump to conclusions at all, okay, guys? And then Dennis is like, well, the only thing that we do know is the dozer kills people, all right? So we see Lloyd and Chubb going farther up the road, where they come to like the end of the road, and then Chubb's like, hey, you think the D9er can get up this cliff? And Lloyd's like, wherever the D9er wants to make a road, it can make a road. He's like, well, I guess we should probably fight back, huh? And of course they have binoculars on them, they look down the hill, and of course they see the D9er coming right towards them. And then we see Lloyd and Chubb's back with the other two. He's like, Chubb's got an idea. How about we, you know, ambush that bulldozer with the other truck, and hopefully Chubb's truck with all the gas and tanks on it will blow up the whole bulldozer. It's like, well, you know, it's the only thought that we have, only plan that we have, so might as well go with it. And also before this happened, Lloyd and Chubb started a fire on top of the mountain. And I'm not sure if it was used to do a smoke signal or if it was just used to distract the bulldozer to come towards it. Because that's what happens. The bulldozer goes right towards the fire. We see the Killdozer finally make it to the top of the cliff where that fire is. And I guess now he's playing like park ranger and firefighter, because then he goes right to the fire and slowly starts running it over to put it out. At least that's what it looks like. And we see the guys all back in their trucks, and they're going down the hill by the looks of it at this point in time. But then out of nowhere we see the Killdozer with the headlights and everything off, and it starts driving towards them because now it's on the bottom of the hill. And of course Lloyd's like, you guys gotta look out, the bulldozer's coming. It's like, well, I'm sure they probably saw that. Chubb drives his truck right into the front of the bulldozer's blade, and the bulldozer starts pushing it and pushes it down a little bit of a cliff, like just a little small like ditch cliff, and the whole truck blows up, but we still see the bulldozer moving a bit. And now it's the next morning, and we see them burying Chubb's body. I'm not sure how they got it, because the bulldozer is literally on top of the truck, and the whole truck blew up, but, you know, we'll just go with it. Maybe it's just a sack of, you know, body part pieces, for all we know. And as they're putting some dirt on top of Chubb's grave, then they look up and we see Lloyd and Dutch looking up on the top of the hill, and the Killdozer's up there watching, just, you know, watching them over. And then Dutch is like, you know what, that bulldozer knew about the ambush and what we were going to do, and it cut us off. It got ahead of us somehow. Then the Killdozer disappears for a second, and then it shows back up on the cliff, and now it's pushing a bunch of rocks off of the cliff down towards Lloyd and all the other guys. I guess the three of them, because there's only three of them left alive. And as Dennis is running, he gets hit by a couple rocks, so then Lloyd goes to save him, and then we see Dutch actually come to rescue both of them, because he pulls his Jeep around, and they all hop in the same Jeep now. Now they're down to one vehicle for some reason, even though, you know, Lloyd could have just jumped in his Jeep again. We see them drive off to a certain spot, and then they're, you know, trying to regroup and think what they're going to do. And it's like at this end of the road, kind of dead end area, because it looks like they're down a valley almost. But then out of nowhere, they hear the Killdozer coming, and they have no idea where it's coming from, because I guess the sound's just echoing off all the whole, like, valley area that they're in. And they're like, alright, we gotta get out of here before the Killdozer comes. So then we see Lloyd jumping in the driver's seat, and he's doing some crazy driving. I'm assuming that they sped up the footage at this point in time, because he goes up over that hill like nothing. So now nighttime again, they're all sitting around the Jeep, and Dutch is like, hey, you hear that? He's like, what are you hear? It's like, the surf, man. What I wouldn't do for a midnight swim right about now, you know, just to relax and not worry about this bulldozer that's trying to kill us all. And Lloyd gives Dutch some alcohol. He's like, how about you just, you know, take a little sip, just relax, just mellow out. Me and Dennis will keep an eye on things. It'll be okay. Just try and calm down, okay, Dutch? It's now the next morning, and we see that alcohol bottle hitting the ground as it's completely empty. And I'm assuming Dutch has been drinking it all freaking night, because then he turns on the Jeep, and Lloyd's like, Dutch? He's like, I'm going swimming, and drives away. And then Dennis picks up the empty bottle, and he's like, oh, he's been drinking all night. He's like, There's only 3 of you guys and there's nothing to do at all. How did you not notice that he's been drinking the whole time? Anyways, he drives down to the beach. The Jeep gets stuck, and of course it gets stuck, and Killdozer is like 20 feet away from it, just revving its engine. And then we see Lloyd and Dennis running to the end of the woods to look down on the beach, and the whole time Dutch is trying to start the Jeep back up, but the Jeep won't start up. So then the Killdozer just comes closer and closer to him, and he's still sitting in the goddamn Jeep trying to start it, but it won't start at all. So instead of getting out of the Jeep, he just lets it run him over. And then the Killdozer notices Lloyd and Dennis up on the hill, so it starts to chase them down. Anyways, the guys keep running, and then they run into a shovel excavator, and I guess they're going to have a equipment war, because they're going to take the shovel excavator and try to take on the D9er. My mind's on the bulldozer, but that's besides the point. We see Dennis running the shovel excavator, and he actually puts the bucket in front of the bucket of the Killdozer, and actually stops the Killdozer to the point where he actually backs up and then takes another running, drive at them. See the Killdozer keep coming at the shovel excavator as the guys are trying to fight it off. And it tries to circle them a bit, but of course the excavator can swivel around a lot faster, and it keeps blocking him each and every single time. Then we see a standoff between the two, and we hear that humming sound getting stronger and stronger coming from the bulldozer, and then the high beams come on the bulldozer, and it starts ramming at the shovel excavator, and that's when they put the bucket down below the bucket of the Killdozer. But then the Killdozer puts its bucket down on top of the shovel bucket, and I guess he's slowly going to try and ramp up the arm. I know that whole sequence might sound a little bit confusing. If you watch the movie, you'll totally understand what I'm saying. Anyways, they're trying to fight it off still, but the bulldozer has the arm pinned down to the point where the wiring breaks on the shovel excavator. So now the beam on it is pretty much useless because they can't move the bucket at all. So then they just jump out of the excavator and start running away. And then we see Dennis and Lloyd hiding behind an air machine. He's like, how are we going to kill this damn thing? It's too heavy to hang and it's too big to put in the execution chamber. He's like, oh, we'll just electrocute it. We got that big electric generator. We'll just zap this thing. And we see the shot of the Killdozer staring at the excavator, and it acting like it's a little bit confused because it doesn't know where the guys are, because it starts tipping its bucket different ways, like it's trying to bend its head, being like, huh, where the last 2 guys go? Anyways, we see the guys setting up a trap because they got this giant generator, and then it looks like they got some tracks from another bulldozer, and they're hooking it up so that when the Killdozer drives over top of it, they'll flick the switch and hopefully electrocute it, and it'll stop trying to kill them. Then we see their trap finally set up, and we have Dennis hiding behind the generator to get ready to flick the switch, and then we see Lloyd on the other side of the trap in what I'm assuming is a little dump truck, and he's trying to get the bulldozer's attention, and it finally does work. The bulldozer finally starts coming towards them. So with their trap that they have set up, they have a tarp over top of the actual trap so the Killdozer can't see it, just in case, and the Killdozer actually stops at the tarp, and then it slowly starts to turn sideways instead of going on top of the tarp. So then Lloyd gets off of the truck with a crowbar. He's like, hey Dozer, come over here, come get me, come on Dozer, come get me. And he throws the crowbar and actually breaks one of the headlights on the dozer. So then the dozer turns direction and comes towards him. Dennis flicks the switch, and then we see a bunch of sparks start come up underneath the Killdozer, and it slowly starts to catch fire. And then we see levers, on the Killdozer slowly starting to move, but it's not able to move anywhere because it's just being electrocuted the whole time. And then everything just stops, and then they go over to the Killdozer and they knock on it. It's like, look, nothing at all. There's no sound, nothing at all. I think we're safe now. He's like, yeah, well, we're not actually home safe yet. We're still stuck on this island with no radio. And Dad's like, so how are we going to explain this to authorities? Are we going to tell them everyone got stuck in a landslide and that's how they got killed? And Lloyd's like, no, we'll tell them the truth, and they won't believe us at all, but we'll at least tell the truth. And then Dad's like, you know what, I just know one thing, and I'm sure glad to be alive. And Lloyd's like, so am I. And then he throws his hard hat up in the air, and then we just have the movie ending as a still shot of the hard hat falling back to the ground in front of the Killdozer, and then the outro credits start to roll, and then the music starts to get a little bit eerie to kind of make you think that maybe the Killdozer's not fully dead yet, but we don't know because the movie's actually over. And that brings us to the end of this movie. I gotta say, I really enjoyed it a lot. I think it's a lot of fun to watch, and it's a quick movie. It's only an hour and 14 minutes long, so definitely well worth the watch. I would definitely recommend watching this and watching Maximum Overdrive, or maybe The Car, or maybe in the TV movie Trucks, which is based off of Maximum Overdrive as well. Definitely enjoyed it. It's got, the kills aren't anything too crazy because, it's hard to do a bulldozer killing people, but it's still fun nonetheless. And on the rotten scale of 10, I'm getting this one 7.5 out of 10, just because I'm a little bit biased and I enjoy it a lot, so hopefully you guys will check it out. Which brings us to a point in time where we pick next week's movie. Alright, so we finally picked what we're going to watch next week. I did. It's another first time watch for me. I have not seen this movie at all. I've heard people talk about it and I've seen the trailer, but that's as far as I've actually gone into this movie. We're gonna watch from 1995 for the first time ever. We're gonna watch Evil Ed, so hopefully it's a fun one. It looks fun, at least that's my concept of what a fun movie looks like. I'm looking forward to watching this one, so hopefully you guys will check it out. And guess what, you can find a copy for free on YouTube as well, so that's even better, just so you guys are aware. But anyways, as always, thank you for checking out another episode. If you made it this far, I appreciate it. Make sure to check out the outro band, Toronto-based horror band Blood Opera. All their links are down below, but you can find them on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify. Definitely go check out their new album on Spotify. And as always, make sure to check me out on all social media accounts at Typhonstein. All the links are down below, but you can find us on X. I don't know why I said us. It's just me. You can find me on X or Facebook on the art page. You can also find the Instagram page. There's the TikTok, which I haven't been uploading too much. But there's also the YouTube channel. Definitely go check that out. We're getting closer and closer to that 1,000 sub mark. And once we do get 1,000 subs, we're going to be giving away some free artwork. So that's pretty cool, right? We have a bunch of live streams that we do throughout the week over there. Been doing a lot of live streams for Fortnite. Going to be doing some more art live streams because you guys enjoy those ones a lot. And also going to be doing like some Texas Chainsaw Massacre and probably some WWE 2K24. Just going to be switching up the games a little bit. We have the weekly game video coming out every single Wednesday. And then we have old episodes of the podcast and some other various short content and whatnot going out. So definitely go check it out. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. And if you guys feel so kindly,
make sure to share the podcast. If you're on Spotify, leave a star review. If you're on Apple, make sure to leave a written review there. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys all later. Peace.
Whisper in the classroom, the writing on the wall. What's blood for, if not for shedding?
You used to play that childhood game, didn't you? The one where we changed